Alrighty guys, how's everybody doing? I'm your host for the night, BC Jumpman. We are about to head into Game 2, Urgod Was an Inside Job versus Wayward Gaming. I hope you guys have enjoyed everything so far from this Learning 5 scrims that we're doing. For those of you that are just joining us, this is the inaugural stream for the EU West Learning 5 scrim, a program that bands together 5 players that have never played each other before, pairing them up with a coach, and they battle it out on the ranked 5s ladder, trying to get better as a team while also improving individually on their own. So we're about to hop into Game 2 right here, but right before we start, as they finish up this lobby, I just want to ask, to the both coaches, Ozdoc, the coach of Urgot Was an Inside Job, and Vadrian, the coach of Wayward Gaming, what did you guys think of this little intermission? Do you feel a lot more comfortable going into this Game 2? Ozdoc, I'll go with you first.
As I said beforehand, I'm comfortable going into this game. We're not going to change too much. We're going to stick to the same comfortable style for us, and we're just going to kind of use the same prowess that we've shown at it to push through this game as well.
Awesome. And what about you, Vadrian?
Some of them were kind of demoralized, but with bringing up good plays, bringing up things to work on, the morale got back into them, and they feel comfortable going into this next game with our special comp, if we get it.
All right, so both teams are excited. Both teams are very confident. Is this going to be Urgot an Inside Job taking the 2-0 victory, or is Wayward Gaming going to tie it up at 1-1? Let's get this started, and I'm going to kick it over to Piscator Josh and Dune Bogey, our lovely casters of the evening. What's up, guys?
Thank you very much, Jumpman. We are back with Game 2 in the series between Team Wayward Gaming and Team Urgot. We were able to fix up that little client issue that we had right before Game 1, so we got our centered, we got our awesome pick band layout right now. Like he said, I am your play-by-play guy, Piscator Josh. With me, I have Dune Bogey once again. Welcome back, Dune. Right now, it sounds like Dune's got a little case of the robot voice. I'm going to give him a little time to get that sorted out. So far, we have Jana and Gragas coming out in terms of bands. Looks like nothing too different, aside from the Gragas band finally coming out. Team Urgot really, really putting the hurt, using all the damage and all the utility that Gragas has to offer. So just in case you guys are not aware, we are now swapping sides. Urgot going to be on the blue side. Team Wayward Gaming going to be on the red side. So we see Nautilus Man coming out as well. So these teams definitely got a chance to talk about what happened in the pregame. Got a chance to really discuss, hey, maybe these are champions we need to take away. Maybe we can react better if these champions aren't in the hands, because as we saw, Nautilus and Gragas both did an amazing job zoning people out, putting out a lot of damage. Looks like we did have a bit of a TeamSpeak issue. I'm going to mute the stream really quick, guys. You guys can watch the rest of picks and bans play out. We're going to switch over to Skype really quick. Just stay tuned, guys. Give me 1 minute. Alright guys, apologies for that brief interruption. We are able to get our audio back online. Like I said, once again, Piscator Josh here with Dune Bogey. Dune, welcome back, my friend.
Hello, I am not a robot now. No matter what other people say. Hopefully people don't pause this game. Our TeamSpeak crashed. We are moved over to Skype, so we should perhaps get a bit better here. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to have the coaches with us this time.
Which is totally okay, too. We got a lot of input from them in Game 1, in the pregame, and the mid-game discussion, so we generally have a good idea for what these teams are trying to do as well, but completely different picks coming out this time around.
Yeah, so, first of all, I don't have to press push to talk anymore. This is wonderful. Yeah, definitely. So let's just make sure everyone's aware that Urgot has flipped over to the blue side, and we have Wayward Gaming now on the red side. So these are all reversed. And let's take a look at kind of what each team is going through. So the first thing I noticed, Urgot is going to be sticking with the Janna and Sejuani bans. They do switch over to an Ahri ban, so perhaps worried about that Victor-Ahri matchup in the mid lane. And then meanwhile, Purple Team are going to ban Gragas, Nautilus, and Maokai. So you saw they had banned Hecarim and they had banned Rek'Sai last time. And this time, they actually get those picks for their first 2 picks. So they highly, highly value those 2 picks. And then on the flip side, they do not want to run into a similar comp like they ran into last time, and so are instead going to ban out the Gragas and Nautilus. But that means that blue team is going to kind of have to shift their strategy a bit. They can still pick up the Sivir, they can still pick up the Victor, but they're going to have to adapt when it comes to the top lane the support and the jungler.
Yeah, these are a couple of very, very different junglers coming out. Rek'Sai, very vision-focused, very objective-focused. But Jarvan coming out, we don't see a whole lot of Jarvan nowadays, given the fact that he doesn't really serve as a pure tank, and given the fact that his E was nerfed a few patches ago as well.
Yeah, he's still a very strong pick in the jungle, and he can provide a lot of the same utility that Gragas can. Definitely not as tanky, replacing that with a bit of damage, but you can still build Jarvan relatively tanky. The one surprise that I think from Purple Team is that they didn't actually go with an Aurelia ban. I almost think that Aurelia was a huge threat that game, and I don't really know if they can find a way to deal with it, or if they feel comfortable dealing with it. I don't see a reason why Blue Team shouldn't be picking it up here. And just as I say that, they are going to switch over to Aurelia in the lane, so that does make sense. It worked once, why not? Why change it? And then they're able to find another support with just this huge amount of CC, not going for something like a Thresh, not going for a Braum or anything like that. They're going to stick with the good, tried and true Alistar. So we're going to see a Sivir Alistar bot lane here coming out from Urgot on the blue side. Whereas Purple Team are going to be doing different things this game. They're going to have Rek'Sai as opposed to that Lee Sin, so still kind of an early game focus, still a very skirmishy sort of focus, but definitely, I think, a stronger champion nowadays. Hecarim's going to be your top laner. Challenging Smite being nerfed, their durations from 6 seconds to 4 seconds, stuff like that. It's not quite as good to build to take Smite on your top lane Hecarim, but still worthwhile pick in the top lane. He trades extremely well, and Aurelia may have a tough time with him. But instead, the thing that I'm most interested in here is it's going to be a Kennen in the mid lane. Usually you see the Kennen either as a support pickup or sometimes even as a top pickup, but it's actually going to be Kennen in the mid lane. So Kennen-Victor matchup, I think, is really, really rare. You really don't see it. So I'm wondering what they're going to go with there. And then once again, they have Graves, which is a little bit less damage than a Jinx when you get into the late game, but it'll help them sustain through the mid game a bit more. So they might be able to pick off a lot of these advantages in the mid game a lot easier with a Graves as opposed to a Jinx. Not having the Ahri kind of hurts them as far as a snowball goes, as Kennen's not as much of a snowbally champion, but I think they did improve their comp going into this second game.
Yeah, definitely. Something that Purple Team, Team Wayward Gaming really, really brings to the table. That upfront burst from the Kennen, if he's able to get all those stacks off immediately, and Graves just dashing in, getting all the damage off with the buckshot, Hecarim charging in as well. It's really, really scary for one person to just be immediately caught out by that team composition. Seeing this Graves Nami bot lane, that is a very, very scary level 1.
Yeah, Graves Nami can be very, very tempting as far as that level 1 goes. And I'd like to see whether the lane swap still happens, because remember, it was Wayward Gaming who chose to do the lane swap on the blue side. I have a feeling they're not going to want to do it this time around. Another thing that was kind of interesting is they had that early... They had the early kind of weird sort of invade coming out from Urgot where Gragas actually had to start his buff very, very late. I wonder if we're going to see something similar there or if the level 1 strategies are going to change either.
Definitely. I feel like that lane swap thing is something that they did that on paper it works out really well, but given the fact that players who, or teams who typically tend to implement that type of strategy are way more in tune with exactly how it works, are way more knowledgeable as to the very specific power windows of certain lane matchups. So yeah, I agree with you in that we're probably not going to see something like that. The Alistar pickup, it's really cool to see Alistar kind of coming back into the mix. Alistar pretty much like probably second to Janna, being one of those support champions that if everybody goes in on your carries, you pretty much say, no, stop that. We're going to start this over. You guys be cool. And especially in the later game, Alistar very, very crucial in making those single target picks or just splitting up teams, going in with a really, really well timed headbutt pulverize can be absolutely devastating, especially considering that Kennen doesn't really have an escape. Nami and Grace, if they get caught out, really, you can only quick draw so far away.
Yeah, I mean, I think that blue team is going to... Urgot is still going to go with pretty much the same comp that they went for last game, which is basically fight us. Like, we want to fight you. We know we have a better fight comp. We believe in our ability to team fight, as opposed to more of a pick strategy, as opposed to kind of focus on one player strategy. But I think it's a bit of a switch around this time from Wayward. I'm not really sure exactly what their comp is trying to accomplish here. They definitely have a lot stronger team fight, though. The combination between Hecarim and Kennen ults makes very, very good and very easy to get to the back lines, which is better than you can kind of do with the Lee Sin. So I think that's going to be good. The issue is that you're not going to be having as much peel for Pish-Tosh this time around, and so I wonder if they're going to be able to put out enough damage with the AD carry, or if they're going to have to rely on that mid and top lane. But it looks like we're getting into the loading screen, and that means I believe we're going to be taking another little intermission break.
Yeah, now that we broke that all down for you guys, we noticed that one of our players is a bit slower on the loading side, so we're just going to take it to about a 3-minute intermission, play some music for you guys. This is game 2 in the series between Urgot Was an Inside Job, Team Urgot, and Wayward Gaming. Urgot up 1-0 in the series. Let's see if Wayward Gaming can bring it back, tie it up. Thanks guys for watching. 3 minutes of music. Guys, welcome back to Game 2 of the series on the EU West Learning 5 scrim between Team Urgot Was an Inside Job and Wayward Gaming. Urgot was an inside job of 1-0 in the series. We did have our side swap happen during the mid-game intermission. So, introducing these teams to you one more time. On Urgot's side, we have Contextual Idiot playing Aurelia again. Jones Life on Jarvan this time. Bacon Screen on Victor once again. One Shot Macro on Sivir once again. And Sky Dark bringing out the Alistair.
Yep, and meanwhile on Wayward Gaming side, it's going to be JFM Flareon on your Hecarim. Rek'Sai going to be played by Nintao. Jet BMW 5 Series going to be playing that little crack midget, the Kennen. Graves going to be played by Pishtosh. And Pobaxi, once again, going to be taking up the role as Nami. Once again, I have the great pleasure to be alongside Piscator Josh. I am Dune Bogey, and we're going to cast this game for you.
Yeah, and this game definitely starting off way differently from the first game, because first game everybody was like, alright, we're going to anticipate the lane swap, we're going to get early wards down, we're going to see what laners are sending to what lane, but now we're seeing a much more defensive, a lot more measured start. It looks like both teams a lot more relaxed, everybody just hanging out by their buffs.
Yeah, this feels like almost a solo queue start. We saw this really complex start with both teams going for these deep wards and invades, but instead here just going very, very defensive, taking it easy, want to start off the laning stages right, don't want to screw anything up too early. Clearly, these teams really value their lane strengths as opposed to kind of like the team communications level 1. I think especially another reason being that TeamSpeak, they might not be on... they might not have voice communications up right now, whether they're on Skype or TeamSpeak, I'm not sure. And so it's potential that they want to avoid any unnecessary harm due to not having voice chat up. It looks like we have a short pause, though, and it's going to be on pause. The AD carry is going to be okay.
We're just getting it out of our systems now.
Yeah, just so everyone's familiar with how the pause feature works.
So yeah, typical starts, nobody getting crazy, everybody giving their junglers a good leash. Standard lanes this time around.
The one thing that's interesting is that Hecarim is actually going to be doing this camp level 1, which is what you want to be doing when you're taking Hecarim, and Aurelia needs to take this time to try to push out the lane as much as she can, get a level 2 so she isn't because Hecarim's already hit his level 2, she wants to be level 2 as well when he gets into lane, but we'll see how she handles that.
Both junglers very, very known for very, very scary early game ganks. Rek'Sai, he tunnels in, he jumps on you, umbros you, knocks you out. Jarvan also having the flag and drag available early as well. Last time it seemed that Team Wayward Gaming really weren't able to execute their plan and getting that already going. But now that they have a different pickup in this Kennen, I wonder how it's going to play out differently. Because Kennen, if he's able to chain that CC together, that's done very, very, I'm saying very a whole lot. It can be considerably scary, especially when you combine it with a Rek'Sai. Oh, a Pishtosh getting caught out immediately. That's a lot of damage onto the Graves.
Yeah, so Alistair, as you were speaking of the junglers being very scary earlier on, it's going to be this cow that's probably going to be the scariest, as that level 2 headbutt pulverize combo can be very dangerous. You were pointing out Kennen earlier, and yeah, Kennen I think is just a lot safer pick than Ahri. He has a lot. He has a built-in escape that can kind of serve him on from early levels onwards. So I think he will not really be afraid of many ganks this time around. But that being said, he might not be able to get off as many kills depending on what Rek'Sai can provide. You saw Ahri was able to pick up the first blood in the first game here, but Kennen probably a little bit less likely to be able to kind of replicate that situation.
Kennen really shining in those situations where he can just get in the middle of a team, pop Zanyas, and just slicing Maelstrom everybody.
And what you notice here, actually, if we take a quick look at the top lane, is you're having Aurelia who's getting pushed into under tower, being forced to CS under tower, which is very good, which is what you want to do as the Hecarim. And she's also being forced to... she's a little bit short on CS. Hecarim exploiting that early camp and basically getting a free level out of it, not having to worry about the level 1 for Hecarim. Actually, pretty good choice by him. He's not really getting punished for coming back to lane, as he's going to have his TP up by the time he's ready to go back as well.
Yeah, the last game that we had a bit of a slower start, but it seemed like as soon as each team got a couple of kills under their belt. They just went absolutely crazy. It started off really, really measured, not a whole lot of kills going down. But once those first few dragons especially were taken, everybody just unleashed their instincts and just went absolutely nuts on each other.
You say this, but at the same time, nothing's actually happening in this early game. We see Jarvan coming in for a gank, and we might see the first kill of the game happen in 5 minutes into the game, which is about when we saw the first kill happen last game as well.
Yeah, Jarvan sitting in that bush right there, I'm not exactly sure if they were spotted out down there. A Jarvan popping out of bush, very, very scary.
This Alistar should be able to go for a flash headbutt. Or flash pulverize. He missed it on 1 or 2 occasions here, and he should be able to get it as early as he wants it.
Yeah, Jarvan showing up. Flag and drag not quite landing on Pishtosh. That was a really, really good Aqua person, making sure that Jarvan can't really follow up anything there. But Nintown, knowing that the jungler's down bot, coming into the top lane, Flareon, looks like they are going to be able to put down a lot of damage. That is at least 1 summoner burn for a Contextual Idiot. Flareon lighting him on fire, but unable to pick up a kill there. Forcing a back, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was a decent gank by Rek'Sai. What you wanted to do is actually get the Hecarim to push her back, which he was unable to do, and so her flash actually got her out of there, as it looks like Jarvan might actually die to this really early dragon. Once again, being done by Urgot, prioritizing the early dragon. This is about when they got it last game as well. They notice the jungler ganks topside, and they go straight for the dragon.
We see a pinch coming in though. Kennen looking like he wants something. Blue team secures the dragon, but Pishtosh looking to skirmish just a little bit. These two teams are split up just at the moment, but it doesn't look like anybody's going to be exchanging blood quite yet.
Yeah, so it's just, once again, a very clean dragon take by Urgot, the team. And the only other thing I want to point out is with that Jarvan gank in the bot lane, you actually shouldn't lead with the Jarvan flag combo because it can be hard to hit. The thing to do is to actually lead with an Alistar flash pulverize or a headbutt pulverize. It's a lot harder to dodge if you're Graves, and you can do that and set up the stun chain a lot better that way. And I think that kind of hurt them and kind of sacrificed the kill. Rek'Sai going in for deep warding here.
Yeah, gets spotted out by that pink ward placed outside of the red buff, so averting.
I'm not sure if he saw it there. Yeah, once again, a very calm game. Like, this dragon comes out a little bit of an advantage for Wayward Gaming. This is pretty much the same old song and dance that we're used to. But we'll see if it can actually end up being any different.
Yeah, mid laners at level 6 at the moment. Wonder if any of the junglers are going to show up to pay a visit, given the fact that very, very bursty ultimates coming out of both of the mid laners, Kennen and Victor. Kennen having the added bonus of being able to add those stacks in order to stun his opponent. Rek'Sai looking top, though.
Yeah, Rek'Sai going to be looking for these ganks. Like, once again, she's already gone 5 levels in and not able to pick up any ganks. And she's also tied in farm with the Jarvan, so she hasn't really used her time as well as the Jarvan has. Yeah, you burn the Aurelia flash, but a big thing you have to do when Aurelia burns a flash like that is you have to come back to the lane and you have to re-gank it, exploit the fact that she doesn't have that summoner spell, and we have yet to see that come out from Nintao this game.
However, noticing that the lane is pushed up, electing to push in after she finishes the Geodudes. Let's see how long.
I've been informed that apparently when Rek'Sai is burrowed, she doesn't quartz. I was not actually aware of that. But apparently, the vision that Rek'Sai, the tiny bit of vision that Rek'Sai gets around her when she's burrowed doesn't actually include pink wards. So today I learned.
That's interesting. So Nintel doesn't get spotted out by anything. So the ultimate gonna come in from Flareon. That's a beautiful charge away from the tower, locking down Contextual Idiot. Remember, Flash was burned, but they almost turned it on, and Flareon should be able to get one more cleave off out of mana. But oh! Contextual Idiot gets out alive, just 1.5 more auto attacks away from death.
Yeah, so that's exactly what you want in a gank coming out. Just lacking a bit of the damage, and also Rek'Sai unwilling to die for that kill. I'd say if you traded 1 for 1, it's not as bad as you might think, because any way you can get the Hecarim rolling, any way that you can deny Aurelia a bit of a CS advantage is fine, even if you do lose a Rek'Sai in the process, because you are technically behind. You've lost a dragon in this game, you haven't really taken anything for it. I think it would have been a worthy trade, but Aurelia able to get out of that one.
Yeah, super, super close. I was thinking that Contextual Idiot was actually going to turn that on Nintao. Nintao flashing away with just about, looks like Pobaxi a little scared there. Throws out the tidal wave right away. Skydark saying, hey, I don't have a tidal wave, but I can smack you in the face.
Yeah, the one thing that's kind of hurting this Graves, he's playing a bit timid around the Sivir. He's canceling a couple of auto attacks. He's not getting in auto attacks where he could be. And I wonder how much it's going to end up costing him. So far, you know, it's not really anything troublesome, but something to be aware of.
10 minutes into the game. Kennen quite a bit ahead on CS, but otherwise, nothing too crazy to speak of other than the one dragon that Urgot was able to take early. First Blood not taken just yet. Once his next dragon comes up, I'm not sure. Well, then again, WWG do have a relative timer on that, given the fact that there was a bit of a skirmish after the first dragon was taken.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I want you to take a look real quick at the item discrepancy between Kennen and Victor. Kennen has 2,600 gold that she just spent on an entire Abyssal Scepter. So he took a long time from going back there. I think he probably should have gone back and like in that amount of time within those first 10 minutes to allow to get some sort of power spike as opposed to just the Scepter. But we'll see if that's actually able to do anything, as it looks like teleport in the bot lane.
Okay, 4-man party in the bot lane. However, that was a beautiful headbutt by Skardar, but looks like the cow gonna get caught out by 3 people. TP coming in from Team Urgot. In response, that's First Blood going to Jones Light, but Contextual not quite wanting to give that up for free, charging on somebody else. Pobaxi, next one on the menu. They're looking for Sushi. Boomerang toss into, oh my gosh, that's 5 people picking up credit for that one.
Yeah, so an interesting gank tried once again by Wayward. They tried this, and they're going to turn it into a tier 1, it looks like. They went for the TP gank, which was worthwhile. Hecarim, you know, did best he could. But the problem was, Sivir was so far away that Hecarim wasn't able to land his ultimate on her, and so they had to go after the Alistar. All Alistar had to do was pop ult, he takes no damage, and they just leave themselves open for such a turnaround coming out from the blue team, and that's why blue team's able to pick up those 2 easy kills.
And it was unfortunate that Nami, we saw earlier on that Poboxy kind of panic ulted while she was caught outside in the river just a little bit, and her ult came up literally 3 seconds after she died. So if that ult was up, probably could have turned the tides. Haha, turned the tides just a little bit for Team Wayward Gaming, but really goes to show you how just having that ultimate unavailable really rains on your parade.
Well, now she has it open for this dragon fight, which is at least positive there. One thing that I also kind of didn't like was that the Kennen was not only late to get there, given that he was making a rotation, but he should probably be the one leading the rotation, given that he is relatively mobile coming from mid with the Lightning Rush, able to kind of get around the map very easily, and as well as the ultimate that provides so much CC, I think you have to use that ultimate if you want a team fight. Speaking of team fights, Urgot going to be trying to start this dragon once again, forcing Wayward to respond.
Kennen not realizing he was sitting on a ward right there. Oh, bounce to flash in at half health, but gets headbutted away. Cataclysm goes down onto jump, but they trade 1 for 1. They're turning their eyes towards the jungler, out of position. Pitch dodge in the middle of that chaos throw should be going down. That's Victor picking up 1 as well. One shot macro saying, whoa, that's not how I planned this to go. Getting out of there as his support is left alone in the Nintel, and Hecarim going for blood on the ADC. Heal being burned, but it looks like Flareon not going to be trying to get there. Sivir staying in arm's reach away from the rest of that damage, while Contextual Idiot burning the rest of his mana to stave off the rest of that push. But at the end, that looked like a 2 for 2.
Yeah, and it's no dragon taken, so that's not bad at all. This time, it was a bit of an aggressive play by the Kennen to go in for that flash ult. His team was a little late in following up, but still, very good play. He got immediately headbutted by the Alistar. Really good play by the Alistar to kind of get Kennen away from the rest of his team. It did isolate the Jarvan there, and the Graves was able to do a lot of damage, but the fact that Jarvan died so early in that fight and Rek'Sai stayed alive and then had to base means Jarvan's up with full health earlier, and it looks like this dragon might actually go for Urgot for a second time.
Let's say they are coming in for this. They're still low on mana. They were not able to back, so blue team does pick up that. But it looks like WWG trying to make something happen out of there. Nintal doesn't get the steal, but forced to flash out of there. No kills picked up either.
Well, yeah, you also had Hecarim going to the top lane after that, so Hecarim deciding not to back, instead going into the top lane, starting a fast push, so it will be a tower trade for the dragon, which is good for Wayward Gaming, but they still lose out on the early dragons, so they're 2 dragons down under 15 minutes in the game. This is kind of how game 1's starting, and they're, you know, they do have more kills this time around, and I think they do have a lot more mid-game damage. They don't have to wait for that Jinx to turn online. But they are very ult-reliant for these fights. You see, they're not really able to take fights unless you have a nice Graves ult, a nice Nami ult, and a nice Kennen ult.
Ult or not, this Nintal probably going to go down really, really quick. Bacon making bacon out of Rek'Sai right there. Goodbye.
Yeah, not much to be said about that. He just kind of got stuck out there. Didn't really have the vision to be out there on his own, and just got blown up by 4 members.
Obviously mechanics.
Yeah,
I bet
right.
Faker could have gotten out of the 1v4. Totally.
On Rek'Sai with no flash and no E. Yeah,
Totally.
Yep.
Unfortunate there. That's a mistake that you get to make one time.
So one other thing I want to point out is what you look for in when you try to control a dragon. So blue team, Urgot obviously has the dragon control. They have the timer. They know what they need to do. You saw they got an early Scuttlecrap, and there are 3 pinks placed around the dragon. Yeah, I would have liked to see those pinks maybe higher in the river where you're going to see the contest coming out from Wayward, but still, prioritizing vision control around dragon and then taking the dragon is very important. It does look like that you have the scoreboard not up in your spectator client, just so you know.
Now that we have that back up.
Yep.
You can see that gold just about even. That IE on Sivir though, that's a big edge.
Yeah, so Sivir's going to be doing a lot of damage now, and it's up to Hecarim and Kennen to try to get on the Sivir. Once again, we saw how Kennen kind of got screwed over by that Alistar. You know, Alistar just able to kind of punt Kennen over there, out of there, as it looks like Hecarim's coming in.
Hello! Our one-shot mark does a great job at spell shielding the ultimate, so it looks like Hecarim not able to capitalize on that. Oh, doesn't use his ultimate actually. That was just a charge.
Yeah, that was just the charge that he tried, and he didn't think the ult was worth it. We're starting to see the possibility of the teleport home guard Hecarim. I was going to mention that he should be getting it pretty soon, and we saw it use it to his advantage, as it looks like, oh wow, everybody wants to engage here, but Graves is already at half health. I don't know if Wayward is going to be able to take a fight.
This is scary, considering how low range Graves is too, just needing to be at that sub 550 range and able to put out all that damage. So scary, especially when you have Jarvan, Aurelia, and Victor to just absolutely delete you off the face of the rift.
Oh yeah. And one thing I think Wayward hasn't found an answer to in these 2 games is kind of Victor. He's, you know, being able to get really short range and put off a hell of a lot of damage, and I don't think that that Wayward has been able to take advantage of that. They kind of ignored him mostly through these fights, instead opting to go for the AD carry, who they see as the bigger threat. And while Sivir is the one who's 2-0-3 with the IE, it's not to be ignored that Victor's doing a lot of damage here, and they really need to be aware of it.
It's a party for the Scuttle Crab.
Basically. Hey man, it's worth it.
Is this a Krusty Krab? No.
I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer.
This is Patrick.
That was awful. Never do that again. Get out of my sight. Alright, here's a potential pickoff.
Yeah, Jones, I'm not going to get out of your side, but this guy is in the other team's side right now. Jet BMW 5 Series, barely out of range for that slicing Maelstrom. It ends just as the stun ends as well. So that was a lot burn for a kill they didn't even get.
That's a huge waste, because not only is the Kennen ult going to be burned, it's also going to be the Flash. Flash is Kennen's main way to engage on these fights, and it's going to be really tough for Wayward to win a fight this way without a strong Kennen ultimate.
As if that wasn't bad enough, the fact that he's chunked down like a third of his, now half of his health already,
yeah,
really going to mitigate it.
These Victor Death Rays are just chewing through Wayward's team.
Okay, looks like Macro is cut. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to lock anybody else. Skydar gets caught in the middle by the Aqua Prison. They're trying to get to the Sivir. All the gold is on Sivir, so she's the one on the menu. Now that they're not able to go for it, they're looking for Bacon Screen. Nobody looking at Bacon Screen just yet. Finally, Pishtosh turns his attention towards the Victor. One team, one member on each team down so far. A little bit scattered fight there as they were trying to switch targets left and right.
Yeah, I mean, that was good prioritizing the Sivir. You do need to shut her down. They lost a tower for it, and Aurelia didn't have TP, so it was a 5v4 fight. So that's fine that even without a Kennen ult, that you want to engage that if you're Wayward Gaming. That being said, losing your Kennen for a Sivir, not the best trade that you were looking for. With Dragon coming up in 30 seconds, they really need to prepare for this. They need to have all their ultimates up, and they need to be ready to contest it, because that's third Dragon, and you do not want to lose a third Dragon after losing the first two.
Yeah, I have a feeling Wayward Gaming really discussed the importance of that neutral objective, given the fact that once Urgot in the previous game picked up those first 3 dragons, they really dictated how they were going to rotate around the map.
Yeah,
Plus the fact that there were like so many kills ahead didn't hurt either.
Well, and yet Urgot was still able to pick up the first 2 dragons of this game without much of a contest. Yeah, there was a bit of a contest after the first one, but I'd like to see Wayward Gaming, you know, be aware of when those dragons are spawning, because if you notice, this third dragon is going down like that. No contest coming out, and I don't even know if they were aware that third dragon was up, and that Urgot is going to be prioritizing it this much.
Luckily, there was a red stealth ward in the pixel brush, so at least they got some sort of timer off of it. But 3-0 in the first 20 minutes in terms of dragon count. This is kind of looking like a repeat of game 1.
Yeah, I feel that, you know, while the, you know, like, the early fight potential coming out from Wayward Gaming is stronger here, just because you do have a Slicing Maelstrom as well as a Home Guard Teleport on Hecarim, which he has in about 30 seconds, so they can look for a fight there. It's still Urgot coming ahead, even though they have more of the late game comp. I'd like to see a bit more focus on the early game fighting. As far as like forcing odd numbered engagements, they're kind of forcing these 5-on-5 fights, is Wayward, but I'd like to see them forcing maybe smaller skirmishes, because if it's one thing that Rek'Sai excels at, it's going to be those small, like, 2v2, 3v3 skirmishes. And if you can force those as much as possible, that's where you get your pickoffs, that's where it allows you to set up your vision control, and then finally your objective control off that.
Both junglers, typically ones that build warrior, opting to go for that Cinder Hulk route in order to provide just a little bit more tankiness to the team. Skydark, look at that Alistar. That's a Nami and Kennen poking away at the cow. The cow says, nope, can't milk those. Just walks straight out.
I mean, he's just too tanky at this point. He's not something that Wayward should ever concern themselves with trying to kill. Even if they find him out alone, he's probably got some friends nearby, and they really need to try. I mean, you have to ignore him, but at the same time, you can't really ignore an Alistar throughout fights. Once he starts building CDR, and that Pulverize starts to get under a 10-second cooldown, it can be very scary. So Victor actually opted for a different item choice this game. It's going to be a Luden's Echo Rush on Victor, which is different than last game. I'm pretty sure he upgraded that Hex Core pretty early on last game. He didn't go quite for like the Mark IV or whatever, the highest upgrade was, but he did get the Mark II, I think, relatively early. I like to see this because he's able to land so many of his Death Rays. And I think that's one thing that's really hurting Wayward Gaming, is they're getting hit and poked down too much by these Death Rays, and it's really costing them. Adding a Ludens to it makes them that much more deadly, and makes the potential for Victor poking down Wayward that much higher.
Right, because I feel like a lot of people, given that Ludens is still relatively new, really underestimate the amount of damage that the procs do. Because you think, alright, I dodged the death ray, that's fine, and then you see that little purple blob jump on top of you and chunk 25% of your health immediately. And now that Victor has a blue buff on top of that, those death rays and those siphon power is going to come out non-stop. Oh my gosh, Graves.
Yeah, so that was Wayward trying to look for a fight there. They had Hecarim sitting under Fountain. They wanted the Home Guard TP. Aurelia did have TP as well, but they were both looking for a fight there.
That's a couple of ultimates burned on behalf of Urgot's side, but it looks like Flareon gotta come in from the backside. Absolutely deletes Bacon Scream. That's a whole lot of damage gone. They're looking for more. Sivir's next on the menu, but DMW 5 Series trying to get out of there before he gets taken out. Skydark finally backing out of there as Contextual Idiot, trying to do his best to clean up the Hecarim before he catches up to the team. Pishtos dragging in, but he's probably gonna take out the Alistar right now. That's one going down. Nintao taking out the other one. The rest of the team clearing out wards. So Jet BMW 5 Series was out of the fight relatively early. The fact that they took out Bacon Screen so early was huge.
Yeah, Victor not being able to put down damage really screwed the pooch there for Urgot. Essentially, you had a Nami ult that was more of a delaying ult. It knocked up and kind of centered a lot of Urgot's team members there. that allowed Hecarim to get just basically a solo ult on Victor and no response able to come out from like the Alistar or something like that. So really good job by the Hecarim to take advantage of that positioning, and they had the vision to be able to do that. But at the same time, a bit of a poor focus at the end there. Yeah, they did end up getting the Sivir and the Alistar, but there was a weird time when Aurelia actually got to hit the back lines there, and Aurelia picking up a kill on the Nami, and possibly, I can't remember if she got a kill, or if she got a kill on the Kennen there. I don't think so, but I can't quite remember. Unfortunate that they couldn't pick off everyone on blue team, but definitely the kind of fight, a 1-for-3 kind of exchange that that Wayward is going to need in this game.
Yeah, that was a huge onslaught of shadows that came out of Flareon. I was surprised by how quick Bacon's Screen went down. But given that the Triforce available on Flareon, wow, that health bar disappeared so quick.
Yeah, and speaking of Triforce, I think you need to be aware of the Triforce on Aurelia too. I think she was a little bit more delayed last game in getting it, but now she's been able to farm up this Triforce, and I think she needs to be able to get on that back line a bit more. Get on the Graves, not let the Graves run free. Well, or the Graves could just die.
Okay, that's a Graves gone. So Jones Life looking for more. Has the Cataclysm up. Couldn't quite find the target there. Dragon coming up in about 45 seconds. So look, there's the Cataclysm. Forced to ult out of there defensively, Flareon is. So it looks like Wayward Gaming wanting to set up for this Dragon, but given the fact that they had to burn so much and the fact that they don't have their ADC for another 15 seconds, this isn't looking as good for them.
Yeah, this is a Nami with around a 75-second cooldown on that. Hecarim not having his Onslaught of Shadows for 90 seconds. This should be a free Dragon, and it really just, again, comes from vision. There is hardly any Wayward Gaming vision to be able to see that Victor was just making that quick little loop around towards the blue buff, and Graves just caught out without any support from his teammates. Really unfortunate, but he needs to be aware that this Victor is putting out so much damage, and they need to do something about it, as Kennen looks to be caught out.
Yeah, that's a huge kill going down for them. That ultimate was available to him, but now it's completely off the menu, or off the table for 30 whole seconds. Urgot probably going to pick up the 4th Dragon of this game at just 26 minutes. Everybody on Wayward Gaming just forced to watch as they're like, yo man, this Dragon tastes real good. 4-0 already.
A big reason for that is look at the vision control. Look at all the wards that Urgot has around this Dragon. Yeah, there are a couple Wayward wards here and there, but nothing on the Dragon, and so that Kennen wasn't able to see the quick little hide and seek that was played by Aurelia and the rest of members of her team. And so he immediately gets picked off, and there's no way that Wayward's going to be able to fight after the Kennen ends up dying. I'd like to see the Kennen Zhonya's come out, as that might actually be able to change the game a bit. It can make him a little bit freer to engage, perhaps allow him to pick a couple more risky fights for his team, as well as Hecarim Homeguard TP. He's had it there for quite a while, and he has yet to use it. I'd like to see that being used more toward the advantage after like a big Kennen initiation, like we kind of saw earlier in, I believe, the 2nd Dragon contest.
Yeah, Kennen's really close at the moment, just about 250 gold away from the Zhonya's. Because they have one of those teams, Wayward does, where if everybody goes in at once, especially Kennen flashes in slicing Maelstrom, especially, like you said, they need to have that vision control so Kennen can catch them by surprise. And then once you throw a flare on top of that, maybe he can TP in from base. That is a whole lot of burst damage coming out at once, in addition to Nami and Rek'Sai being able to lock up somebody if they chain their knockups and their bubbles well.
Yeah, I mean, a big reason why each team is winning successive fights is who gets the jump on who. I think this game depends a lot on initiation and less so on counter initiation. So you see, if Jarvan or Victor gets the jump and gets to use their spells on the enemy team before the enemy team can kind of respond, that's where the fights that Urgot is winning. Whereas I think Wayward is being a bit too split up at this point. They're not able to come together, and when you're together as a team, it allows you to use your spells more in sync and allows you to get the jump on the enemy team a lot better. So I think Wayward Gaming would have a better chance of these fights if they're less spread out and are able to kind of take fights where they can kind of capitalize on the fact of how together Urgot is.
Ooh, the team a little bit split up at the moment. Flareon getting zoned out by a good amount of, but looks like he's gonna get pinched. Does have the Onslaught of Shadows available, forced to use it. There it is. That's a big thing not to have in a team fight.
I mean, once again, it's another 100 seconds that pretty much Wayward can't fight whatsoever. And they're gonna use that to their advantage. I think Urgot needs to look for some sort of objective. Yeah, obviously they have 4 dragons, so they can kind of just wait for that. They have no reason to, like... They're like, okay, we'll take fight at dragon. We have vision control there. We've had success there in the past, and we have an Aurelia with TP, so why not exploit the side lanes?
Gold lead slowly coming to about 2,000 in favor of Urgot. Dragon counter, probably the stat that we want to pay attention to most. Dragon not quite up, not up just quite yet, so they're looking to this bot tier 2. Going down really, really quickly. Not a whole lot Wayward could do there.
Yeah, I don't think they should rely on Hecarim TP anymore. Without him having Home Guard in there, there's no reason really to threaten the Hecarim TP, and so he should either be with team or sitting in base looking for a fight. But they do have Kennen, Flash, Ult, and Zhonya's up. So I think this is kind of their power spike where Wayward does stand a chance at taking a fight here before the dragon comes up to try to get some sort of advantage before the next dragon fight, because they do need to contest this next dragon 100%.
Oh yeah, in addition to that Rek'Sai having that cleaver finish, that armor shred that he's going to be able to provide for that burst from Hecarim and from Graves is going to be absolutely huge. Looks like Urgot, while they can't take the dragon quite yet, they're looking to take all the resources from Wayward Gaming out of their jungle.
And it is going to be Hecarim split pushing here. He's going to have to get out. I think he might actually have to TP out because he's going to go for this tower, which, I mean, it's sort of worth it, but it's also, like, arguably the least important tower that he needs to go for. He's going to be onslaughting in a base, but, yeah, he's just wasting time at this point.
Rest of the team noticing that, oh, looks like they do split off of that. Hecarim probably going to live after this. Dragon up in about a minute 30. Another 100 seconds, that's a huge cooldown, but Nintao forced to flash out of there. That is a big thing to let go of when you're this close to a very, very big fight that's going to happen.
But once again, it's important not to get picked off for the dragon control. You need to be there to set up vision, to get a Scuttle Crab, do something for the dragon, and having top lane pushing is really beneficial for Wayward Gaming. They do like this, so they all need it back, they all need to pick up their items, spend their gold, and now they can contest. This is actually beneficial for them, and I think they have the potential to win this fight here. But they do need to stick together. You saw Graves and Nami were completely separate. Almost got caught out on her own. Hecarim had to go through a merry chase through the base. You really need to stick together a lot more if you're going to be winning these fights as Wayward Gaming.
Flareon took his time to clear out that ping, trying to get vision control for the first time around this dragon pit.
Scuttle Crab's a good start.
It is a very good start. Giving this up for Urgot is going to spell disaster for them. But
Hecarim
Urgot
not
really
having
thirsty for this.
Onslaught of Shadows for 20 seconds. This is exactly combined. This is like the exact same as the Dragon Timer. So as long as this ward stays here in the Dragon Pit, Hecarim can threaten the Home Guard TP ult in, which is very, very scary once Urgot starts the dragon. It does need to come out, and the problem is, look where Wayward's going. They're going for this Aurelia, they're going for this really weird Baron play, and they're going to lose out on this dragon. Rek'Sai is nowhere near. She doesn't have any tunnels, and yeah, she's going to get caught out just kind of in no man's land here.
Okay, usually when you give up one objective, you want to trade it for another one, but right now, Wayward Gaming just stuck in a situation with their hands in their pockets saying, guys, how the heck did that happen? We just gave that up for free.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the thought there was from Wayward. It was a good series of vision control. You had Hecarim going back, like they had the perfect setup, but then you had Rek'Sai, Graves, and Nami just kind of wandering around. Kennen was sticking in the mid lane, that's fine, but you need to stick together as 5. And that's what's, oh goodness, that's what cost them that 5th dragon, and it's gonna be probably costing them at least an inhibitor here.
Yeah, Hecarim trying to get the back in, maybe forcing for a TP play here. Looks like that inhibitor is about to go down. Nami gets a catch out on 2, but those are 2 tanks. Not a whole lot of burst they can do to them, especially when Jarvan can just jump on your face.
And Hecarim too late to the party. Can't do anything with his home guard. And that's an inhibitor given up for actually nothing. Like legit nothing.
They might be looking to give up a little more now that Urgot is turning their eyes towards Baron. They're looking to start it. I anticipate that they're looking to bait this, given the fact that they want a team fight with this 5th Dragon buff. They're chunked down to about half health, but given the upfront burst that they have, looks like Contextual Idiot trying to zone them out, not looking to turn just yet. Look, here comes the turn. BMW 5 Series gets the Zonias onto 2. Povaxi picks up 1. That is Flareon locked in, picking up 2. Nintao turning their eyes towards Contextual Idiot. That is Urgot going down at the cost of their own hubris. Bacon Screen doing his best on the backline to delete Grid. Boom! Deathray grabs him. Flareon trying to catch the ADC off guard in the jungle. Charges in. Ignite is ticking, so that should be a double kill for Baron Screen. So after Bacon Screen, rather. So after the Baron, looks like that just turned into a bloody 3 for 3. Still going in.
Yeah, potentially more here. So the big reason why that cost blue team so much, why Urgot was so chunked out, was because they were doing that Baron for so long. They were half health on multiple targets, and when you have the combination of Kennen and Hecarim jump in, that's why Sivir melted, that's why Alistar died so quickly, and that's why Jarvan died so quickly. So really good job there, but it was kind of lacking on being aware of where the rest of the team is. That Victor able to pick up 2 kills, probably not what Wayward wants to do. They want to get any kills that they can. They want to force something like a 3 for 2, 3 for 1, and then just be okay with that. You just need to try to get back in the game any way you can, and trading like that after you've won a fight is not what you want to do. And they really need to be aware of where everyone on the enemy team is. Because this Victor is huge.
Yeah, we saw just how fast Graves went down on the ending of that fight. Just one death ray absolutely melting through. In addition to having that Void Staff as well in concordance with the Mark II Hex Core.
Yep, this is where Hecarim should be looking for a TP.
Oh, roll rag. It looks like One Shot forced ult out of there defensively. Skylark trying to come in there, save the ADC. One Shot going in deep. Wall on the mean side. The top laners, Bacon Screen about to go down. That is a lot of damage that was taken out at the hands of Flareon, but it looks like Jones trying to do his best. That team fight was a little bit scattered. While they were able to get the mid laner out, they're not really able to get much more out of it. That is a clean 1-0 though.
They still have the cannon ult, which is probably the most important ult for team fights, and able to pick up the Victor. Victor, one of the biggest threats here on the enemy team, but they might lose the Hecarim if... Oh wait, no, the Hecarim's doing a whole lot of damage. And the
My Little Pony really hurting. Alistar might go down for the no. One Shot macro comes in just in the nick of time to save Alistar. He survives with just about 200 HP there.
I mean, that's more or less Hecarim greed. That's Hecarim sticking around too long and wanting to get back to base. He really needs to stick with his team there. One thing that over and over again that Wayward Gaming is learning from this series is that they need to play together as a team, and they're not doing it, and it's costing them a lot in these fights. Graves almost getting taken out here was, you know, a little scary, but it's good that he survived. So, like, that fight in itself wasn't actually that bad. Trading Hecarim for Victor is fine. Victor is probably the biggest threat here on the side of Urgot.
Yeah, the later this game goes on, the scarier he's gonna become. Yeah. Dragon coming up yet again in about 1:25. Urgot can just keep stacking this 5th Dragon buff over and over. It has got to be hard to try and focus on other objectives as Wayward Gaming if you just constantly have your back to the wall with the threat of this 5th Dragon buff. Because like you said, the more time that goes on, the scarier this Victor gets.
Yeah, I mean, like clockwork, every 6 minutes they need to be ready to contest for a dragon buff, or else they're gonna like be really, really weak in team fights. The only way that they can kind of maybe try to turn the tide here is go for a Baron while the dragon's being done. But if you look, Urgot's already prepared for this. They have so much vision around Baron, so much that they actually believe that they could probably take a Baron themselves here, and they are gonna start it up. They noticed that Wayward has to deal with the super minion creeps down here in mid lane, and we'll see if they're able to do this Baron, except they're backing off. Never mind.
Then again, you do have Dragon coming up in about 30 seconds. Maybe they're just trying to get WWG away from the Dragon Pit. Buy some times for their supers in the mid lane to push up. As we see right now, we do see the rotation coming out of Wayward as Urgot turns their eyes towards Dragon number 6.
Yeah, this inhib being down just prevents a lot of potential fighting from Wayward Gaming. They can't really do anything. They're kind of resigned to their fate of, okay, enemy team's going to have pretty much permanent Dragon 5. We don't really have a contest for Dragon. They need to figure out some game plan, though. And just sitting around near their base and being way late to dragons and being seen coming the entire way is not the right way.
Okay, looks like they might be overcommitted to this. Flareon completely separated from the rest of the team, opting not to go in. Probably the smarter decision there. But it looks like Urgot, now that they picked up that 5th dragon buff, really, really thirsty for blood. Now that they're not going to find it, really, really thirsty for frog.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for Urgot to not have to fight there. Yeah, you do want to fight, but there's no reason to. And once again, we see this Hecarim not using TP, not using Home Guard. It's really, really hurting. That Home Guard TP is so powerful, and he really should be using it for this fight. They kind of need to force a fight sooner rather than later. They can't really wait for this Dragon buff to take all the way down.
That looks like end of number 2, but oh, Cannon goes in with the flash. Zonius slicing Maelstrom onto 2. Looks like Bacon Screen, however, nobody's looking at him. They are unable to get to the carries. That is 2 going down for the red team. However, Flareon trying to do his best to die the victor. He finally goes down. BMW 5 Series on the back lane, waiting for the energy to recharge as Pishtosh trying to dash in, clean up everybody else. So while the inhib tower does go down, they take it at the cost of 3 lives. Chase is still on, though.
Yeah, so that's exactly the fight, finally, that Wayward Gaming needs to have. It was perhaps a tiny bit early engaged from Kennen. He could have waited 1 or 2 seconds there for the Hecarim, but it's perfect for them. They only lose the Rek'Sai in the exchange, and they blow, and they're able to get the Victor down, they're able to get the Sivir down, the 2 most important kills. Yeah, Jarvan died as well, that's always nice to get, and yeah, they lost the tower, but if they can turn this into a Baron, oh no, there's an Aurelia. So Aurelia is going to take this opportunity to actually just trade it.
It's like they're at that point where they're just going to fully commit to it. That Baron going down. Not as quickly as you might think, however, we don't have a teleport available. Jarvan not going to be able to get over there in time. Looks like Rek'Sai, however, opting to be the one to back, sending the jungler to back. I guess that's the only real option they had.
Yeah, I mean, the Rek'Sai was actually dead there, so she did end up respawning, and Aurelia could have potentially taken 2 inhibs, so only taking 1 is actually an advantage here, but yeah, they really need to get back. Alright, so, you're only behind 200 gold, 5th dragon is about to wear off, and you have a Baron buff. Like, this is definitely Wayward Gaming's game to take. They have the potential to take this game. Yeah, they're down in inhib, but all you have to do is win 1, maybe 2 fights, and you got the game under your hands.
It's interesting to see a team down essentially 7 dragons, being only a couple hundred gold down, and right now having a very, very solid chance of just completely swinging the game in their favor. However, Flareon gonna face check this. I'm not sure how that's gonna work out for the rest of the team. He's looking for the backline immediately. Bacon Scream gets locked down by Rek'Sai immediately. He should be going down momentarily. Oh my gosh, they are all in him. However, Contextual Idiot does pick up the Hecarim. Skydar probably gonna go and fails to flash over the wall, so he goes down. Pishtosh doing his best to shred the rest of that Aurelia. Bacon Scream manages to get out of there alive, but he's essentially useless given the fact that he has only about 10 HP left. So while Flareon gave up his life, My Little Pony turned that into 2 kills.
Yep, so that's exactly what they need to do there for Wayward. You didn't end up actually picking off the Victor, but you like caught him out so far away from the fight that it was 100% worth it. You got him out of that fight so early, and it was just left to Contextual Idiot on the Aurelia as well as Skydark on the Alistar. They were in by themselves, and when you have 4 members of a team facing 1, it's probably the one that's going to end up dying, even if that one is a 271 CS Aurelia with Trinity Force, Randuin's, and Spirit Visage. Again, these are the comebacks that they start to need. There's not going to be able to get much of an objective off this. They might have been able to turn that into a mid-tier 2, but it doesn't look like it. Wow, that's an aggressive Jarvan flash.
Yeah, Jones looking for the Cataclysm. BMW 5's here. I'm pretty sure he still has Lightning Rush available, but one-shot macro just gonna one-shot him to death.
Yeah, he needed to immediately Lightning Rush out of there. You need to hold Lightning Rush when you're doing something like that, so you always have energy for it, and you're always able to get out of there. An unnecessary pickoff is going to end up costing them, but perhaps not as much as it could have. Once again, Graves is going to keep getting bigger. You do need him to pick up that Last Whisper as soon as possible to be putting out as much damage as possible. Sivir is just huge right now, so it's going to be a struggle to try and deal with her damage just because her Boomerang and Bouncing Blades are going to be so annoying.
Yeah, the amount of damage that Urgot can put out from it. Just look at that. Pishtosh gets caught over the wall. Had a full Bloodthirster shield, but oh my gosh, Flareon going in. They're looking for the carries once again. Skydark doing his best to zone them out. One-shot macro goes down. That's an ADC down. That opens up the rest of the fight. Flareon trying to get through the front line, but Nintao doing his best to jump on that Victor. Needs help though. He's gonna need a little help. That guy's gonna go down really, really quickly. Skydark gets hit by the buckshot. Pishtosh picks up one. They're still in the fight, but the gravity field gonna zone the rest of them out as Contextual Idiot and Bacon Screen electing to go on the retreat.
Once again, they're doing it. They're actually doing it right now. They're starting to come back in this game, and they actually have a gold lead. The 5 dragons worn out, so there's less of a team fight threat as far as that goes. And they're able to actually get 2 kills for nothing, not lose anyone, which is really important. And they got that all 4v5. That Kennen was still dead at that point. So Hecarim really, really making plays here, using his home guard, using his ult very well. And no one was able to actually touch Graves that fight, which I think is really important. Graves is actually starting to crank out a heck of a lot of damage. He's almost has his Last Whisper done, and he's really a big threat. As long as they can continually blow up Sivir and at least zone Victor from the fight and not have anyone get on Graves, that's how they start to win and get back in this game.
This is what's so cool about having the best of 2 series. Originally, we were just going to have 2 different pairs of teams play a best of 1, but given the fact that this is a team learning environment, this is a team-based program, giving teams the opportunity to really show off the fact that they can adapt, because adapting is a huge part of success in League of Legends. Not every game is going to be the same. Somebody can pull out a surprise comp, somebody could just have an off game, but the fact that they were able to go back, readjust what they're doing, showing that they're doing a lot better, and nothing over yet, obviously. It's not over till the Nexus goes down, but this is a much better showing from Wayward than in Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to adapt to the style. They pick a more team fight centered style, which is a lot easier to... Oh my god, your stream almost died there. That's actually... Wow, okay. So this is the biggest thing. They lose a tier 2 top, but they're actually gonna...
Oh, forcing the flat. BMW 5 Series probably going to get this. The Ignite and the auto attack finish that off. Wow, this Victor not looking so invincible anymore.
Okay, wow. So a single Canada is 100% worth it. Yeah, even if you trade your life, that Victor gets shut down. That's what you need to do. And then also, Red Team, Wayward Gaming, able to pick up that first dragon is, again, so huge. And they're going to look for more.
Yeah, this is a completely different Wayward Gaming that we're seeing in Game 2 of this series so far. Contextual Idiot just trying to do his best to run away, but they're not having any of it. This is a comeback that is so... This is what makes League of Legends competitive play so much fun, seeing comebacks like this.
Yeah, and the reason why they're coming back is they're able to pick up little objectives after little objectives. They didn't really win one fight and win the game. They need to take it slow and steady. They're only getting 3 kills at a time, 2 kills at a time, but that's okay. That's all they need to do. And the reason why they got that kill so clutch was that Kennen was just out by himself, and his ult just does so much damage. He's got a Void Staff now, and Victor not able to Zhonya's in time, and so not able to get out of there. Another thing really important for Wayward Gaming is they picked up the first dragon. Not only does it deny 5th dragon once again to Urgot, but more importantly, I believe, it actually adds that Dragon Slayer bonus to Wayward Gaming side. So that extra 6% AD and AP is really important just for cranking up your damage just that little bit extra can really help in these fights.
We have a big moment coming up in about 40 seconds. Wayward Gaming finally able to show up that, yo, you guys brought big guns, but we bought a lot of cool stuff too. This is going to be a really scary moment, especially considering the fact that, as we saw, Victor so much more vulnerable now, not having that death cap while Kennen being able to just essentially 1v1 him.
Yeah, Kennen needs to be kind of ulting the rest of the team this time, but it's still worth it. It looks like we're going to only see 5v5 engagements from now on, though.
It's going to be really fun to watch if Flareon is able to get to that backline, because like you said in the last few team fights, it was the Rek'Sai and the Flareon's ability, and Hecarim's ability to get to the backline, to zone out Bacon Screen and one-shot macro, or just straight up take them out of the fight immediately. That's really enabling them to pick up this much needed gold to come back. Looks like they're just doing the 5-on-5 dance now.
Well, Baron just spawned, so that might be the next objective. Or
Oh, hello. Jones goes in deep, looks for the engage, finds it, however. BMW5 is gonna. Oh, Floro comes in from the side, trying to separate the backline. One shot and Bacon Screen. They are completely separated, but none of the carries are there. Nintao and Flare are probably gonna go down at the cost of this. Provaxi trying to rescue him, but that's a Naomi that's probably gonna go down for no reason. Graves is completely on the retreat. Kennen on the retreat as well. Oh my goodness, that was a little bit scattered.
So 3 things went wrong in that fight for Wayward Gaming. 1, they had the Kennen just solo out the Jarvan, and Jarvan didn't actually end up dying in that fight. 2, Hecarim and Rek'Sai got on the backline, but weren't able to do enough damage to burst the carries. And 3, Graves got caught out chasing the Jarvan, and that really hurt it because he wasn't actually able to use most of his damage in these fights against the Aurelia, against the Sivir, against the Victor. He really needs to be doing damage to not just one person. He needs to be sticking with the rest of his team, and that's what costing him this fight and potentially the game.
Yeah, they do have both carries up, but given the fact that they have a really thick front line to get to, these towers are going down super fast. Not a whole lot that WWG can do. So it looks like this series gonna go in favor of Team Urgot, going 2-0 in the series. Our first inaugural stream. Redundancy, OP. The first stream on EU West server. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. I was your play-by-play guy, Piscator. Josh, Doom was here. We're just gonna do a quick wrap up, and then we're going to throw it back to Jump and the coaches in order for them to do a much more in-depth breakdown of that. So I'm just going to bring up the post game for you really quick so we can take a look at that.
So we might not actually be able to get the coaches post game, I'm being told, but we can try to do what we can to at least provide some insight. Taking a look at this post game, I think it was a much better showing by Wayward Gaming. It's probably not ideal. It's not obviously a win, but you started to see what their comp was trying to accomplish, what they were trying to do in these games, and I think that's really critical. It's tough to go against one of these fighting teams. It's obviously easier to play a team where you just want to fight all the time, but it's unfortunate that Urgot was just kind of steamrolling them. They got the early dragons, and that 5 dragons I don't think there's a way you can come back for that consistently. You need to play every fight perfectly, and if you have one little slip up, just like Wayward did at the very end there, it costs you the game.
Yeah, definitely. But it was really cool to see them come back, especially considering the first game was a bit of a stomp on behalf of Team Urgot. The fact that they were able to almost mount the very difficult comeback, a lot more entertaining to see. No ganks by 20-minute pauses this time. So Dude and I gonna high five over the internet for that.
Yeah,
way more exciting.
But yeah, I think it's really good that we got to see kind of how series work. That teams can learn to adapt between games, and learn how to transition from one kind of team comp to another, and learn how to take criticism throughout the game. So hopefully they'll be able to turn it into these VODs and get further analysis as to what's going on. But yeah, that should have been a really positive experience for them, and I really hope that they take that and grow and even get better.
And guys, remember, this is just 2 teams that we saw here. We had, I think, about 30 to 40 teams total in this first abbreviated session of Learning 5s. Our next season of Learning 5 is going to be a full 8-week program. We're going to have streams all the way through so people can be more and more informed about the program. I know a lot of people in the Twitch chat and in general on Reddit are like, yo, how can I get involved in this program? This is super cool. We had our moderators, our staff, everybody's volunteer staff, everybody's doing this as a project of passion. So you can go to one of them. You can see it spamming in the Twitch chat right now on information on how to set up for future sessions. Thank you so much for checking out the stream. Once again, I was your play-by-play guy, Piscator Josh. With me for color, I had Doom Bogey. We're going to throw it back to our host, BC Jumpman. Take it away, Bill.
Yo, what's up, guys? Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this best of 2 series right here. It was very close. Vadrian talked to his team, and while the game was going on, he told me that they really wanted to prioritize this pick ban phase and really try to get a much better comp. And while they didn't get everything exactly perfect the way they wanted it, they still had something that they could team fight well with. And if you look back at that game, you look at the way that Hecarim was really able to dictate a lot of the fights, the Flash Cannon ultimates, Rock and the Zonias. They really did a good job at coming back in this game after all seemed lost halfway through. So, I want to give a shout out to both teams for participating in this. Urgod was an inside job, and Wayward Gaming. Congratulations to Oztalk and his team for going away with that 2-0 victory. We are going to be having our next session of the streams on Friday. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. For North America, we're going to have 2 teams. The 2 teams are not finalized yet, so it's going to be a couple more days before we get that figured out. But once we get that figured out, then we will let you guys know how it's going on. There is going to be another countdown post on the League of Legends subreddit as well as the Summoner School. Well, if you have any questions, please feel free to type it into chat. There are coordinators and productions members standing by to answer any questions or concerns that you guys have. I am double linking the feedback form. If you guys could please fill out that feedback form and let us know how the stream went. We're really trying to ramp up Summoner School events and really make sure that we create the best viewing experience for you guys and create an educational environment for anyone and everyone to learn in the best way possible. This is the Learning 5 Scrim. The Learning 5 program is a program in which you and 4 other members can sign up individually. You get paired up with a team, you battle it out on the ranked 5s ladder, and you learn to grow not only as a team but individually as yourself through these team sessions. So that is us. That is the Learning 5 Scrim. If you don't know who we are at Summoner School, go check us out at reddit.com/r/Summoner School. We have all kinds of educational information on there. If you kind of like what's going on, maybe you want to put a different twist on it, maybe you have a program of your own that you maybe want to try to get started, you can pop us a message on the Twitch or send us an email at summonerschoolevents@gmail.com, and we will be willing to accept and help work with you for any of these educational programs that you're wanting to throw forward, and see if we could pop it up onto the Twitch as well. There's also going to be another link in there for a sign up on the Google Doc form. Now, this is really important. We've had a lot of questions from a lot of different individuals saying, okay, how do I sign up as a coach? How do I sign up as a student? I want to do this. I want to get involved. That Google Doc is going to be the way that you need to go, because you sign up on that Google Doc with your email. An email will get sent out the second that the new session starts in a couple weeks, and that way we can get more signups than we had last time. We had about 800 people sign up overall, and we want to try to see if we can double at this time around. So I want to give a big shout out to the casters that were there. Piscator Josh and Dune Bogey did a fantastic job. I want to give another shout out to all of the players and the coaches that participated today. And finally, I want to thank you guys. This is the first time that we've done this. This is a brand new Twitch, and coming out and having, over 300 people there for the first game and then over 200 there for the second game. That's fantastic. That's amazing. I thank you guys so much for that. I cannot wait until the next stream. I will see you guys then. I am BC Jumpman. I am your host. Have a fantastic rest of the night, and we will see you guys on Friday.